Hey y'all, it's me, Jay Shrink. How y'all doing this fine day? I have something that's it's kind of fun. It's ironic, it's funny. It's these millennials. Okay, I'm sure all of y'all have heard about this young guy named Richard Spencer. And he coined the term alt-right, and he's been going around the colleges, universities, and news shows talking about having an all-white America. Okay, um, and he was also on the Roland Martin. You know, Roland Martin, the black guy who used to be on TV One. He was on there too, talking about how proud he was to be white, this and that. And these are young millennials. Um, I'm thinking from the point, psychological point. Okay, what's happening to these young millennials, especially in America? He's rich. Richard is rich. Richard, he comes from a wealthy family, so he doesn't. And he has a think tank. But in general, a lot of these young men and women are millennials are they're all across like Kentucky, Tennessee, Appalachia, to the East Coast, all the way to the West Coast, to the East Coast. It's called despair. They can't live anymore. They don't think they can, and they're getting addicted to these opioids that these doctors are prescribing them willy nilly. They don't prescribe black folks opiates too much. Because I've broken my legs, feet, and everything else when I was in gymnastics and stuff. I got lower tabs. But anyway, there's a huge, it's not an epidemic anymore. Trump got in on it. It's a pandemic. And in science, a pandemic is like huge. It's spreading not only to America, it's going to Canada, it's going to Europe, it's going everywhere with these millennials, because they're not going to be able to do as well as their parents and grandparents. So to escape and to self-medicate, they just get on the heroin and opioids and fentanyl, which is a street 100 times more strong than opioid, and they're dying right and left, and because they don't see the future, and they don't fit into the outright Richard Spencer, future living, in those places where they don't have jobs, and they can't, go to college, or they don't have the intellect or the money or whatever to go to college. So they just dying, and they're dying badly. And coroners are they're having to get refrigerated trailers because so many of them are dying. They're dying in their cars in front of their children. It's awful. It's just awful. It's worse. It's worse than the crack thing in the 80s with the black people, because it's more white people in general. That's just the majority. And in addition to that, okay, there's an epidemic called white annihilation, and this was proposed by a scholar and a psychiatrist, and a black psychiatrist named Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. And she predicted by the year 2000 that there will be white annihilation. That is why these groups are coming up, and sprouting out and going to Charlottesville and everything. Because they are dying out. And they're not replacing themselves. What's happening is they're not having children like their parents had. And I don't know, they're having fertility problems. It says that, the young white males are having fertility problems with their sperms, low sperm counts, and the women are having problems with their eggs, and they're just not having children. They're not replacing the children. Even when they get married, they're not replacing the children. And on the other hand, you have all the immigrants, and that's why they're angry with the immigrants and so mad with the immigrants from like Mexico, the Middle East, India, Southeast Asia, everywhere. They're having more children. They're coming and having more children. And white people, like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, they're dying out. They're being replaced. They're dying out due to the drug epidemic, and they're dying out to the fact that they're not fertile. And so that's when they said the browning of America a long time ago. That's what's happening now. That's why they want immigration reforms and bans and this and that. But Trump said something about the epidemic of the drugs. But he said he felt sorry, but he didn't. He wasn't going to give them extra money. If they needed extra, excuse me, y'all. That's just it. If they needed extra money, then they would have to go to their I don't know, health unit or somewhere and get a grant. He's not gonna allot any money for drug rehab for those young white people. Now you see that shows you there. They've already trying to get rid of the ones that they don't think is worthy, and they're white. Okay, so I don't understand why he won't do that. With the DEA or somebody what is it, Sasha, to help these people. So I don't know. So like. Dr. Welsing said, it's white annihilation is dying out, and all the brown people are coming in, and they're intermarrying with white people or have mating with them. And that's where these outright and all these people in Charlottesville comes in. Okay. They're seeing that they're dying out. So, like I said, Richard Spencer has said that not in the foreseeable future, they're going to make America a white state like the Founding Fathers wanted. It wasn't even white when the Founding Fathers came. Look, they had the Native Americans that was already here to help the Pilgrims, okay? And then they brought slaves over. And it was never really white. So I don't know what they based. They're very illogical in their thinking. It's extremely illogical. Because how you go, and where are the different minorities going to go? Especially black people. We almost indigenous to this America. We were here before everybody. Especially ethnic white people and Asians and stuff. We were here before they were. We were here in 1600. So they don't know what they're gonna do with us. Nobody asked him, and he beats around the corner when they try to ask him questions, logistical questions like that. Oh, but we're looking for like 50 years from now. They won't be here then. If they keep interbreeding with people of other races and dying out, they won't be here. It does not make nothing they does make any sense. His just being on TV, white people did this, white people did that. The natives had to help the white people when they came off the boat. They couldn't, and still, when some of them went back to Roanoke Island place, they came back to get the people. The people was dead, and that was in what 1700s, I think. But anyway, the title of this, I'm just laying a little. I'm just giving y'all a little background on what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about. I'm going to read this. This is a lot of stuff. Okay. On the heels of the Me Too the Me Too being the sexual harassment and stuff that's going on in Hollywood and other industries. Outright women are upset with their men for being sexist. Now, ain't that something? They join a racist organization, and they find out that the organization is sexist. What does they expect? It's supposed to be a patriarchal white movement. And you know, when I look at them on the news and stuff, I've seen maybe one woman in the crowd when they do the High Hitler and stuff. I've only seen maybe one woman in the when Richard Spencer go to those places and give those lectures. I don't see any women in the crowd. I really don't. But they have these two women, and I'll show you their pictures in a minute. Okay, this lady here, this individual here, name is Tara McCarthy, and she calls herself a ethno-nationalist, whatever the hell that is. I don't know where they come up with these names for. Okay, but the main one this is the pretty one. She gets all the trolls. Her name, and let me go back. Let me go back to her. Okay, this lady, this girl here, Tara McCarthy. She's from the UK, so she's from Great Britain. She's not even from here. Okay, and then you have Lauren Southern. Guess what? She's from Canada. She's not even from the United States. And these two are the most active, probably the only females in the whole organization. Okay. So I'm going to read. According to a report published by Salon Magazine on Monday, I think it was the 18th, 2017, some well-known alt-right women seek equality with their males. And well, that is the essential gist of feminism. They want feminism in a chauvinistic, patriarchal organization. Okay. In separate social media posts shared by figures like Tara McCarthy, I showed you that was a dark-haired girl from England, and Lauren Southern, that was a blonde-haired girl from Canada, it seems as if the ultra-conservative movement is beginning to witness internal strife on the front of gender equality. McCarthy, who locked her account on Twitter after her weekend criticism, is a self-described ethno-nationalist and a popular outright activist. On Sunday, McCarthy tweeted that female members of the alt-right are victims of excessive bullying, and the males of the movement should step up and stand up for the acceptance of in-group women, or the men should protect the women, basically. That's what she's saying. Although McCarthy's account is no longer open to the public, Salon got a hold to him. Okay, taking issue with supposed bullying online, McCarthy wrote that the intention of trolls are those people who make negative comments about you on your online. Okay, trolls was to push outright women into silence by forcing them out of their virtual platforms. Women in the alt-right are consistently harassed by low-status anonymous trolls trying to put us in our place. Women of all ages who do or do not have children are harassed for various reasons. The ultimate goal seems to be to bully us off the internet. McCarthy treated. The far-right activist went on to say, men in the alt-right movement are going to have to decide whether they want to passively, aggressively endorse this behavior or speak out against it. If you want more women speaking publicly about ethno-nationalism, I suggest you choose the latter. Ultimately, McCarthy claimed people who proclaim to be on our side are trying to tear down women in the alt-right. Okay. If you're not familiar with this stick to which the alt-right expresses extreme hostility towards feminism, consider one of its members, Andrew Anglin, and his stance on white women having children with men of color, and a report on alt-right women. Harper's Magazine shared Anglin's quote wherein he said, "It's our womb. It belongs to the males in her society." There's also alt-right figure name. Oh Lord, I can't remember his name. They done got rid of him. His name was Milo Yum or something. And he once asked, "Would you rather your child had feminism or cancer?" With such extreme views emanating from some of the most prominent members of the movement, it's no surprise that some alt-right women are demanding more autonomy and independence for themselves. McCarthy isn't alone in her complaint against the movement perceived hostility to women. McCarthy published a YouTube video in late November to explain why she was not quite ready to enter the institution of marriage. In the video, Southern can also be seen criticizing people for reportedly taking issue with her stance not to get married as she's 22 years old. Southern said she had received comments like, "Hey Lauren, why aren't you making videos with your 5 kids and your husband?" Southern told her YouTube audience, "I'm not trying to sell the idea that myself, a 22-year-old woman, needs to be married right now for the sake of traditionalism and not being a degenerate." She then said that she had no plans to appease online observers, by getting married anytime soon. Some women, yes, are going to be happier not having kids. They are going to be happier not being married, and that's okay. That doesn't make them a horrible human being. That doesn't mean that they should be shamed for the rest of their lives. In spite of her insistence that she enjoys taking the piss out of hardcore criminals and the silly things they do, Southern's rallying cry against alt-right male judgment is unmistakably a simple feminist demand: let women decide their own fate. You see what I was saying about the illogicality of all this? Okay. Richard Smith is going around telling people, white people, white people, white people, white people, white people. Okay. We want a traditional, back like in the real olden days, like in the I don't know, 1700s, where you had the man go to work, the woman stayed home, had children, took care of the children, and took care of the house. Okay. These women don't seem to understand that when he says a traditional white patriarchal society, he means that they can't hold feminist values. It's kind of like when, do y'all remember when Tommy Lauren went on the View show? And, Tommy Lauren was a real, she looked like this Lauren girl.